So 1915 to 1920, big time. It's the First World War is going on. For us in Ireland, really big time, 1916. And when I was doing the research around this, I really thought about it, and I was kind of very aware of politics and things and what I would include and how I would include it. So I love this design that the illustrator did, Sarah Maloney. She came up with because in 1916 the Dada art movement had got going. Now this was something I'd heard of, but I didn't really know what it was until I went and did the research again, backfilled what I was trying to present. And the Dada art movement was really a reaction during World War I to the awfulness of it and the death and the dreadfulness. Things started to loosen up. They started playing with fonts. And even poems, they started doing these sound poems. So you'd see a poem written, but it would actually be written with the tat, 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 rat-a-tat-tat-tat, like a cannon. You know, the tat-tat-tat-tat would be coming out of the cannon. So they would be like picture poems. So this was very close to what I was trying to do in this book. So she's using this, so she's mixing fonts here in the Dadaism, and she would have done her own research around that. She took this again, making it old. I think she took, with this particular design, she took a piece of paper and put it into water and then let it dry out. So that's how she got that really interesting texture at the back of that page. Wonderful thing to do. And then it's so kind of clever because we've 1916, the big thing for Ireland. And of course, it's the Easter Rising. I was going to have that there. I'm Irish. It's a big date for Ireland. But also in Ireland and in France and during the First World War, it's the Battle of the Somme, 1916. And I remember that moment doing that research thinking, wow, you know, these two things going on. So they're written in exactly the same size, right beside the 1916 here. But you've some other cool and interesting facts. Shackleton, Ernest Shackleton, and 5 crew members, they had been stuck in Elephant Island. Their boat had been squeezed down in the Antarctic, crushed by the ice, and he set off on a rescue mission. So there was Shackleton in 1916 as well, up on Elephant Island, or down on Elephant Island, setting off on a rescue mission. And nobody died from that entire expedition, which is extraordinary. Shackleton trying to get to the South Pole, but it obviously didn't work out. And he was an Irishman as well, Ernest Shackleton. You also have this big, well, you've Countess Markievicz, she's the first woman to be elected to the British House of Commons for Sinn Féin. She didn't take up her position, but it's a well-known fact. But over here, back to the 1916, a big one for me here, and the women's issues always were big for me because women are not very represented in history. Margaret Sanger, she opened the first birth control clinic in the United States, leading to her arrest for distributing information on contraception. And doing a little more research around Margaret Sanger, her parents were Irish, so she was first generation Irish. And her father was actually Higgins was his last name. But her mother had in 22 years had 18 pregnancies, and 11 children survived, and Margaret Sanger was the 6th of them. So her whole, and her father was very enlightened. He actually became an atheist and supported women's suffrage. So kind of an extraordinary thing to find for me. And she was a heroine in the States. And she really was just saying, because she'd seen it with her mother, because her mother died at the age of 49. She was saying women need to be able to control when and choose when they're having their children. And she got into a lot of trouble for it. But boy, was it important. And at the time she was anti-abortion, she felt that this would prevent abortions, which were happening and killing women. So incredible to me. And yet, you know, it has taken us so long to still get to grips with these problems for women. So I love this design, very powerful, yet subtle again, and it's respecting an art movement. So again, an artistic illustrator, designer's version of these 5 years of history.